Introduction to SureCount. Today we'll be introducing the basics of working in SureCount, the digital takeoff counterpart to Conest's IntelliBid electrical estimating software. Before we begin, notice that we've already created a job in IntelliBid. We've also set up our assembly groups and takeoff prompts ahead of time. Doing this allows us to quickly move through takeoff because everything is preset. To learn how to preset job specs, refer to the video titled Setting Up Job Specs. Now that everything has been set up, we will go into the takeoff area and then select Fixtures to start the takeoff. We already have the SureCount application running, so we'll go ahead and click its icon in the Windows taskbar to bring it to the forefront of our screen. In SureCount's File menu, click Job, and then click Add IntelliBid Job. It shows all the jobs that we have in IntelliBid. We'll choose the job we want to work on, in this case, Job 55, so we'll single-click that to select it. A prompt appears asking if we want to activate the job in SureCount. We do want to activate it so that the job will work between SureCount and IntelliBid, so we'll click Yes, and then click OK. Our job is now loaded in SureCount. Next, we want to add the floor plan drawing. We'll start by clicking the Drawings option from the File menu. Next, click Add Drawing. The Add Drawings window will appear. From here, click the Add Drawings button. We can bring in single or multiple drawing PDFs into SureCount. We'll highlight the files shown here, and then click Open, and then click Save and Close. That will bring those drawings into SureCount. Once the drawings have all loaded, we see the list of drawings in the left sidebar. Now, in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, we can click inside to pan around the drawing just to see what's shown on the drawing. We also can zoom in and out of the drawing so that we can better see what we need to work on. Now that we have our drawing in SureCount, we are ready to create our symbols. To create the symbols, go to the SureCount toolbar and find the fourth icon from the left, labeled Create Symbol. Click the Create Symbol icon and then click and drag to draw a box around the first B1. The Create Symbol window will appear, and it is here where we can add our symbol information. We can give our symbol a name, like B1. We can add a description too. We must always select the correct symbol group, which in this case is Fixtures. We can then choose a highlight color for the symbol as well. When done, we then click Save to exit. To create our next symbol, A1, we'll repeat the same steps. We'll also create a symbol for our emergencies by designating them as EM. As a note, we should create all of our symbols during this step. To count, we go to the right sidebar and single-click to highlight the symbol that we wish to count. We know that the symbol is selected and ready to use for counting when we see the symbol name shown next to the mouse cursor. Next, we'll single-click on each of the A1 fixtures. As we can see, each click adds a box that highlights the fixture in the color we selected earlier. If we want to count the same fixtures that are running horizontally instead of vertically, we can rotate our symbol by 90 degrees by right-clicking, hovering over the Rotate Symbol option, and then selecting the 90-degree option. Then we can simply click on the horizontal fixtures to highlight them. We don't need to do it that way necessarily, but it's a good practice to get in the habit of. Next, we'll highlight our B1s and then our emergencies. As a note, if we click something incorrectly, or if we want to fix the placement of our box, we can right-click on it to remove it, and then left-click again to add a new box. Once we're finished counting, we simply click the Stop button. Now, this was a manual style count. That's probably what we would suggest for a new user starting out. However, some users might want to use SureCount's Autoccount feature to automatically count symbols, instead of clicking to highlight each one. Before we get started with that, let's remove our previous counts and then click the Stop button. Now, to use the Autoccount feature, we must first define an area within the drawing so that we can auto-count the symbols within it. We'll start by going to the SureCount toolbar, and then click the Select Area button, which is the fifth icon in from the left. We'll also scroll up the drawing to better fit the area we want to select in the viewport. Maybe we want SureCount to count within this upper left area, so we'll click and drag a box over the area using the Select Area tool. Once we release our mouse click, the Save Area window appears. Here we can add an area ID and area description, but we'll skip that for now. We can also add symbol groups to the selected area, but we'll skip that for now too. We will just go to the bottom of the window and click the Save Temporary button. That will remove the red boundary box when we're done auto-counting this area. Now we have our red boundary box showing the selected area. Next, we'll go to the right sidebar and click the A1 symbol to select it for use with Autoccount. Next, we'll click the Autoccount button in the far right of the toolbar area. Autoccount looks for all of the A1 symbols within the red boundary box and displays them in the window that appears. We'll click Select All in the window and then click OK. Ta-da! SureCount quickly counted all of the A1 pictures within the red box. We'll perform the same steps for the B1 symbols. We should note that Autoccount did not include the last B1 symbol because it was not fully within the red boundary box. We'll auto-count our emergency symbols in the same way. It also did not count the last one because it's not inside the red boundary box. That essentially covers how to count. How you count is completely up to you, but if you use Autoccount, then make sure that it detected the correct symbols and that it did not miss any. If it did miss any, we can highlight them manually using the methods mentioned earlier. Now that we understand the basics of counting in SureCount, we want to send the data to IntelliBid. We cannot send the symbol data to IntelliBid when the symbol information says Takeoff not assigned. To assign these symbols to our Takeoff list, we simply double-click on the symbol. This opens the symbol's properties. We then click the Takeoff List button. A window appears. The first three columns are related to the data in SureCount, but we're more concerned with these columns over here, which refers to the data in IntelliBid. We want to determine where in IntelliBid to send the SureCount data. To do that, we click the first available line, in this case, the blue line. It brings up our phase tree. We want the data to go to fixtures, so we'll single-click that, and then click OK. We then click Save and Close. The Takeoff List window appears. Everything in this area is selected with a single click. We'll choose our fixture assembly with branch with a single click. Next, we'll say it's on the bar joist with 3/4 EMT with a single click. Finally, let's say that our type A1 is a 2x4, so we'll single click that option. Notice that my specs are filled in because we preset them before we started our SureCount session. We'll click Close and then Save. We have not sent this data to IntelliBid yet. We've only just assigned it in SureCount. So again, we'll double-click our B1 in the right sidebar. In the window that appears, we'll single-click the Takeoff List button. The Takeoff List window appears. Single-click on the Fixture Assembly with Branch option. We'll say that it's on the bar joist with 3/4 EMT, and we'll also say that it's a 2x2 and single-click that option. The program brought in all of our spec values already, and it has all of our checkboxes there. If we are finished with it, we then click Close in the Takeoff List window, and then Save in the B1's Create Symbol window. Lastly, we'll take care of our emergencies. Double-click the EM symbol in the right sidebar. Click the Takeoff List button. In the window that appears next, single-click on the Fixture Assembly with Branch option. We'll say that we're using an MC with a single click. Then we just scroll over in the next screen until we find the emergency category, or whatever it is for the particular job. We then click Close in the Takeoff List window, and then Save in the Create Symbol window. Now we have completed our takeoff. If there are red numbers shown after adjustments in the right sidebar, these items are still only in SureCount and not in IntelliBid. To send them all over to IntelliBid, we go to our top toolbar. We'll then click the brown IntelliBid Takeoff button. Then we're going to select Takeoff Selected Group for this drawing with a single click. It tells us Takeoff to IntelliBid is complete. We click OK to close the notification. It's important to learn to trust the results displayed on the screen. Next, we see in the right sidebar that there are 6 of the A1s in IntelliBid, 5 of the B1s, and 1 of the EMs. Now we'll go over into IntelliBid to see our A1s, B1s, and EMs. We'll click the blue refresh icon in the toolbar to refresh our takeoff screen, and now we can see what we had taken off in SureCount. Next, If we go back to SureCount, we can see that our A1s are counted up to 6, which is good, but maybe we realize that we missed counting some of those. We'll go ahead and highlight 3 more of the A1s. Now we need to get those 3 other A1s into IntelliBid. Again, the A1s are already assigned, so we can simply go to our SureCount toolbar and then click the IntelliBid Takeoff button. In this case, we'll click the first option. We'll then get a notification saying that the takeoff is complete. Again, we must trust our screen and SureCount. Now the right sidebar shows that we have 9 A1s in my IntelliBid Takeoff. If we go back to IntelliBid, we can verify that the A1s are there after we refresh the takeoff screen. It is important to understand that IntelliBid is going to show the taken off items in the way we sent them over from SureCount. Originally, we sent over the 6 A1s. Now if we scroll down, we can see the other 3 A1s we added. When we go into Summary in IntelliBid, it will show the A1s as 9. That's how we do our counts. Now let's talk about measuring in a drawing. We're going to start by changing our drawing. I'll go select the power drawing in the left sidebar. We'll notice that our drawing has loaded sideways. That can happen sometimes. We can easily rotate it by using either of the 2 rotate buttons in the toolbar. We'll rotate the drawing until it is positioned in the way it should be. Again, we can pan around the drawing to work on any part of it by using the area in the lower right part of the screen. We'll make our drawing just a little bit smaller so we can see more of it. Now we have our drawing positioned in the way we want and it's ready to read. Next, we need to create a scale. If we do not know the scale for our drawing, or the scale is not given, we have 2 options up here in the top toolbar. Click the drop-down arrow next to the green scale icon. We see 2 options, Set Calibrate and Set Scale. If we click Set Calibrate, the Calibrate window appears. It essentially says that a scale is not set, but that's okay. We'll set one in a moment. From here, it says to measure a known distance to set the scale that way. We would use a doorway, a 2x4, or a parking space on the drawing for this purpose. We're going to click the Begin button to start measuring. We're going to measure this doorway. We're then going to say it's from that point to that point, equating to 3 feet. Now, we do that if we do not know the scale. But in this case, we actually do know the scale on this drawing. So we'll click Cancel to go back. If we look at the drawing, it gives us a scale, as we can see here. To set that, we would click the drop-down in the toolbar again, and this time click the Set Scale option. Then we just choose the scale ratio that is shown in the drawing, which is 1 to 100. Below that, SureCount is trying to set that scale for all of the drawings, which may not be what we want to do. If we only want this to apply to one drawing, we can deselect all, and now the only drawing selected is the one we're working on, which is what we wanted. We then click OK to finish. We can always look up at the toolbar to see what our scale is currently set at. Okay, we'll move forward. The only 2 things that we're going to measure in SureCount are branch measurements or feeder measurements. As long as our scale has been set, we can go ahead and click Branch. The branch measurement window appears. We will give our ID a name. We will say that this is our 3/4 EMT home runs. We then click in the description, which adds the name text there too, but we can change that if we want. Now this is very important. The symbol group now needs to say branch. Fortunately, that is already selected so we can continue. Just be sure that when we are working, our selected symbol group is the one we want. We then choose a color that's deep enough to see, and then click Save. Now, notice in the right sidebar that it automatically changed to the branch symbol group, and we can see our 3/4 EMT symbol right here. Now, I'm going to briefly show how to measure using the K-factor. Let's start by looking at the top right of the toolbar. We'll find the K-factor field. The K-factor is what you may know as a drop. We're going to set that to 10 feet, just in case we need it later. To measure, we first click our symbol. With the symbol selected, we're now in measuring mode. With the symbol selected, we'll click to assign our first point. We'll hold down the Shift key on our keyboard as we assign our remaining points. The Shift key allows us to produce straight up, down, left, and right lines while measuring. As a note, if we don't hold Shift while measuring, we'll produce angled lines, which is okay in some cases, but in this case, we just want the lines to be going straight top to bottom and left to right. We'll then click our next point, and then a second, and then a third. Altogether, we just measured 8.41 feet, which is shown in the right sidebar under the symbol Info. If we need to add another 10 feet, we can simply right-click and select Add K-Factor. That puts that additional 10 feet in there that we set up earlier. If we want to put a 90-degree elbow in here, we can right-click and select the 90-degree elbows option. If we want to right-click and place another one here, we can, and then maybe we want a junction box in here. I'll just right-click and select JBox from the Options menu. Now, because we know our assembly so well, we know that if there's a junction box, we should also place a segment as well. We'll right-click and place a segment there. When finished, we click Stop. That'll commit our changes to SureCount. Now, I'm just going to create a couple quick measurements here, and we'll just focus on the second one. If we want to delete a line, we right-click on the line in question and select Remove Section. We then place our mouse cursor over the line segment in question, and then click Remove Measurement. When finished, we click Stop to commit the changes. Okay, here's another SureCount feature to consider while measuring. We'll begin by measuring a line left to right. We'll click our symbol, and then click our first point, then press and hold the Shift key, and then go to our second point and click. If we want to measure some more below this line without connecting our third point to the second point, but we don't want to click Stop to do that, we can also right-click and use the Break Measurement feature. It will break us out of that initial measurement to move below and start a new measurement, which can be of that same size. We'll repeat those actions a few times. Again, this is just allowing us to break out of the current measurement to then begin another one if we need to. When finished, we click Stop. Now we'll apply the things we learned to the drawing itself. First, we'll scroll over to get onto the middle of our drawing. We will perform a measurement from the electrical closet up and then across to the left. To make that happen, we click our symbol to get in measuring mode. We click our first measurement. We will press and hold down the Shift key, and then click up here, and then click over here. We'll right-click and add a junction box, and then we're going to place a segment along with it. Same thing over here. We'll say we need an additional 10 feet of drop by right-clicking and selecting Add K-Factor. We continue in that way until we are done. Once finished, we click Stop. If we need to continue measuring, we can do that. We'll just perform the measurements real quick. Okay. We can now notice that SureCount was keeping up with everything that was measured, and that data is displayed in the right sidebar area. Next, we must send this data over to IntelliBid to add it to our Takeoff. First, we must assign the symbol. We double-click the symbol, and then click the Takeoff List button. We will look under the Phase column and click the next available line, which is the white line in this case. The Assign Phase window appears. In the Phase box, we'll select the branch option. Then we'll click OK, and then click Save and Close in the Assign Phase window. Next, the Takeoff List window appears and shows our IntelliBid assemblies. Let's say this will be on the surface on bar joist, and select with a single click. Next, we'll be prompted to make more selections. We'll say it is single run and using EMT, and select with a single click. Next, we'll be asked what size we want, and we'll say we're using 3/4 EMT, again, selected with a single click. From here, we can see that it picked up our conduit length, number of elbows in the run, the number of segments, and the number of boxes. Now, notice there are a few items without values. We know we don't need any field bends because we're purchasing elbows, so in this case, we'll skip field bends. We'll put a hanger every 8 feet, so we can add the value of 8 here. That looks correct, so we can now click Close. As a note, if there are any of these that were not checked, SureCount will flag us. Finally, we will click Save in the branch measurement window. Now we are ready to send this data over to IntelliBid. As before, we will click our symbol in the right sidebar to highlight it. Then we click the IntelliBid Takeoff button in the toolbar. In this case, since there is only one symbol in our branch group, we can choose the first or second option. The first option is to send the selected symbols over, and the second option is to send the entire group over. We'll click the first option. We then get a notification that says it's complete. Click OK to close. If we look at the right sidebar, we can see that it shows that the values are now in IntelliBid. We'll go back to IntelliBid and make sure. From IntelliBid, we change to our branch phase, and then can see that it is there, and that it rounded it up. There's the 97 feet that we have for our home runs. And that's essentially how we use SureCount to perform takeoff with IntelliBid. Thanks for watching this Conest tip video. Like this video and subscribe to our channel to get more tips and to keep up to date with Conest software systems.